All right, so we've talked about using the literature in your paper. We've talked about direct quotations and quote integration, and we've talked about developing a thesis statement for your literary analysis. Now I want to go through the elements that need to be included when you're writing your literary analysis on one of the short stories. So the first thing that you want to remember is your purpose. The purpose of a literary analysis, what I'm asking you to do is to examine the literary text closely to understand its message, interpret meaning, and appreciate techniques or understand the historical or social context. So you're looking at an element of the text, a literary element, closely in order to analyze what that means in terms of theme. All right, the first thing that I want you guys to remember is, and I know that I said this a lot when I was grading your comparison contrast essays, but literature or texts are always written about in the present tense. It's a common convention that should be adhered to when writing about a story, a book, a poem, whatever you want to call it. The idea is that literature is not dead, so don't talk about it as though it were a corpse. So instead of saying Connie was, you would say Connie is, right? So remember your tense. So the introduction, the first part of your literary analysis should include and introduce the author and the title of the work you intend to analyze. Perhaps an explanation of the theme that you intend to discuss, or any essential background information that makes sense in terms of what it is that you're exploring. And then, of course, your major thesis statement goes at the end of this paragraph. And please, when thinking about your thesis statements, go back and look at the specific format and the specific elements that you need to have for your thesis statement, and make sure you formulate a statement that way. Please let me know if you need any help formulating your thesis or coming up with a tentative idea, but that's the kind of thesis I'm going to be looking for. Your body paragraphs, much like the body paragraphs that were in your comparison contrast essay, each body paragraph should have a similar structure. It should have a topic sentence, textual evidence or quotes from your reading and commentary or explanation, and a concluding sentence that connects back to your thesis statement. I'm looking for pie paragraphs, right? The structure of what that should look like. Give me a second. Okay. Sorry, I had to check to make sure. The structure of what that should look like is you should have a topic sentence, okay? Then you want to lead into your textual evidence. Provide your textual evidence and commentary or analysis. Explain how your topic sentence and your evidence, or how your evidence connects to your topic sentence. You need the commentary. This is the analysis. This is the part that I'm looking for. Followed by a transition that leads into another piece of textual evidence or quote or little nugget. Provide the textual evidence, and then of course include your commentary or your analysis, and then a concluding sentence that connects back to your thesis statement and further develops the so what, or the idea that the message, the theme, the larger implication. So to answer your question, I know that you guys are all thinking it, every body paragraph should have at least two pieces of textual evidence in it. And I don't mean great big old long quotes that are sentences. I mean break those up into those little nuggets. And anyways, you need 2 pieces of textual evidence. And your quotes should be no longer than a sentence if you're going to use the whole sentence. Okay. Your topic sentence or your point is going to identify one aspect of the major thesis and state a primary reason why your major thesis is true. So it's not going to be plot related. It's going to be some sort of analytical interpretation that you provide. Your textual evidence or your illustration provides specific examples from the work used to provide evidence for your topic sentence. It can be a combination of paraphrase and direct quotation, and your direct quotes must be integrated. I also want to take a moment to say that your direct quotations should also be relevant to the point you're making. So don't go on to Shmoop or Lit Charts or other places and look for quotes from the text. Really read the stories and pick out ones that match what you are trying to say. They should be relevant, they should relate to your point, and they should be specific. Your commentary or your explanation, that's basically your explanation and interpretation of the textual evidence. It tells the reader what the author of the text means or how the textual evidence proves the topic sentence. It includes your analysis, your interpretation, your insight, or your reflection. In other words, don't leave it up to me to draw the conclusions that you're trying to make. Spell it out for me. Why does this matter? What is the significance? Why is it important? And for every, my little helpful hint here, you should have twice as much commentary as you do textual evidence. So for every sentence of textual evidence, you should have at least 2 sentences of commentary. This is the heart. This is where you're going to develop your thesis statement, your ideas, okay? This is the important part of your body paragraphs. This is the analysis portion. Finally, you want to have a conclusion where you reflect on how your essay topic relates to, not the book, but the short story as a whole. Connect back to your I don't know what I just said. Connect back to your opening, or talk about, not the novel, but the short story's value or significance. In a larger context, what's the value of what the author is saying or the theme that they're creating. All right, I have a few reminders just to kind of go back to review what I've talked about so far. Literature is written about in the present tense, nothing in the past tense. Directly quote the text, and when using in-text citation, the page number goes at the end of the sentence the quote appears in. I don't, periods go after the closing of the parenthesis. And I do want to mention, please pay attention to MLA format. When using your in-text citations, they should include the author's last name and the number of the page. There's no comma, there's no P, there's no nothing else in it. It's clean, it's precise, it's the author and number. Please avoid throwaway comments like I feel, I believe, this paper will. This quote means that. These comments like this weaken your writing. It weakens your authority. Okay? So avoid those phrases. I feel like I have to say that all the time. But and a word of warning. There's a difference between plot summary and analysis. The temptation is, of course, to summarize this story. I don't need you to do that because I've already read it. So don't tell me what happens. Tell me why it's significant. Tell me why it matters. There's a difference between explaining a passage and summarizing the plot. So with your analysis, you really want to look at relationships, trends, patterns, roles of people, places, objects, or situations, consequences or results of events, decisions, and processes, causes and effects, strengths and weaknesses. Look at the literary element that you're analyzing and ask and look at these elements. That's what's going to give you a basis for your analysis. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. In addition to this video, I also am going to put another video up on how to cite the text in your works cited page, because you will need a works cited page for this essay. But if you're struggling to figure out an idea for your literary analysis, please reach out to me. I've had a couple of you contact me already, and I thought it was really productive. So if you're struggling with what you want to write about, you're not really sure, please reach out to me. I'd rather help you sooner than later. It's going to help you when it comes time to writing your draft. So email me, let me know if you have any questions or concerns.